My name is Neil Weispark. I'm a law firm with Slater and Beckerman, and I appear before you on behalf of McGinnis Realty Corp., who has filed a rezoning application with the City Planning Commission. I've handed out packages that have more than just the boards that I have up here that show there's a summary, and it also has some maps to make it easier to follow along. The application seeks to rezone the eastern half of Block 2576, which is located on the west side of McGinnis Boulevard between Collier Street and Greenpoint Avenue. The proposed rezoning will extend an R7A district, which is located south of Collier Street and runs all the way to Drake Street, which will extend over the property up to Greenpoint Avenue. The proposed rezoning will enable a couple things. First, it will facilitate the construction of a 8-story mixed-use building, which will be approximately 155,000 square feet and will contain 140 dwelling units. 23,000 square feet will be commercial space, which will be located entirely on the ground floor. There will also be approximately 90 accessory spaces to both the residential unit and the commercial space, and the garage will be located underground of the proposed building. 20% of the units will be dedicated to affordable housing. What the rezoning will also do, there are a number of buildings on this block that are residential, and currently under the M1-1 zoning district, which is a manufacturing district, residential uses are not permitted, and buildings are only allowed to be built to a 1 FAR. The rezoning will change the FAR from a 1.0 to a 3.45 FAR, as well as make the residential uses now conforming. So these homes can now actually enlarge their buildings, where before, even if the buildings happen to be destroyed, they wouldn't even be able to be rebuilt. The rezoning will now enable them to rebuild their buildings as well as enlarge them. We believe there's no land use justification for maintaining the M1-1 manufacturing district. This block is actually the only block on the west side of McGinnis Boulevard between Fox Street and the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway that does not permit residential use. And City Planning has also determined that since this property is located adjacent to McGinnis Boulevard, an R7A district is appropriate since McGinnis Boulevard is a heavily trafficked area. I'm here to answer any questions that anybody may have, as well as Paul Tulo, who is a member of the corporation, or president of the corporation.
Yeah, you were going to present a few other images so that people can more fully understand the project.
So this is just an image that you can actually see the building on the entire block, and these images are in the package as a handout as well. And here is a image taken from McGinnis Boulevard looking north.
So do I have any questions from board members? Tom? Yes. Well, 8 stories is allowed in an R7A district. Yeah, can you, I can't see the zoning map.
This part of the world is 6 stories, so how is that 8 stories?
Well, City Planning has determined that along McGinnis Boulevard, an R7A district is appropriate, and that permits in a height of 8 stories.
We have some R7A in this neighborhood, partly.
This whole section over here is all 7A.
Yeah, it's a little hard to see. During the 2005 rezoning, there was one block on the corner of Bedford between 11th and 12th, just south of McCarran Park. That's an R7A designation. The city sort of upzone that particular site more than others because of the supposedly because of the remediation costs of the site. On their follow-up rezoning in 2009, which included the rest of the neighborhood, it was a contextual rezoning where pretty much everything from GMDC down to Grand Street that was already R6 was rezoned either an R6A or an R6B in reaction to the finger building developments going up. So they came along with this contextual zoning. During that time, they also upzoned along Grand Street, Metropolitan Avenue, the upper portion of Manhattan Avenue and McGinnis Boulevard to R7A. So their thought process was these wider streets with heavy traffic and proximity, with the exception of McGinnis Boulevard, proximity to public transportation would be an appropriate place for additional density. They are larger buildings, they are 8-story buildings. The city also implemented this particular strategy because the R6A inclusionary zoning designation was not producing enough affordable housing, and that's where you have a lower base FAR and then the developer gets a bonus floor area for providing affordable housing. So they felt they needed to bump up the zoning to this higher density, higher, larger building designation. So that's a little bit of the background. There already is not this exact building, but an 8-story building could be built anywhere along McGinnis Boulevard currently under the existing zoning from Driggs to Callier. Okay, does that answer?
There is, and there's going to be approximately 63 spaces for the residential units and 23 for the commercial units.
Underneath the building.
Yeah, in the committee report, I listed the basic building analysis. It's a lot of information to process. I thought the easiest way to do it was to just sort of list, these are the 15 things that the building's going to be. Mieszko.
You propose to change the zoning between Greenpoint Avenue and Collier Street, but you will not touch the gas station, or you will not touch the buildings that are facing Collier.
The gas station and the buildings are part of the rezoning to bring them into the rest of the buildings into use, because the houses on, like Collier Street, are zoned M1. So city planning wants to bring them into the R zone.
The gas station will be permitted to be continued. Any use that was in existence prior to rezoning may be continued. The gas station will not be touched.
But it's your lot, and you
No.
want to change the zoning.
No, the gas station is not.
We've seen this before where there's a particular property owner that's looking for a rezoning. And city planning sort of poo-poos a lot by lot.
Spot zoning.
Well, yeah, it's sort of spot zoning. So they said, okay, if you're gonna rezone, you have to do this whole half a block that's on the other side of McGinnis. So even though Paul's company does not own all of the properties within this rezoning, he is the applicant. Same thing that just happened at the beginning of the year, or a year ago for White Avenue, and a couple other applications that have come before us. Jose?
Yeah, just to our fellow board members, we looked at this and we raised a lot of questions and scenarios, and then the committee ended up approving the proposal.
Yeah, it's in the report. Will?
Did we get any letters of support from the other lots that are going to be affected by the
We did
zoning?
not.
So it's ju-
They did attend the committee meeting. I think they were very happy to hear that for the residential uses, that now their uses will be conforming. They'll be able to enlarge their buildings. If something happened to their buildings, they wouldn't be able to rebuild, and now they will be.
Any other Dal?
I think it's only fair to disclose that some of those residents were concerned with what I heard mostly was, well, they were concerned that when, the building took place, would it would damage the walls of their homes, and they were very concerned about that. I don't know, what kind of reassurance they can be given. I don't know if there is anything. I mean, certainly you've been, I think, a good neighbor to them, and they actually recognize that. But that was their concern, that will our buildings, or buildings get damaged? Because I guess I don't know if they're actually attached to the wall, or if the building are gonna be renovated.
Some of them are built off of the property line. The building will be 30 feet away from the buffer, it will be 30 feet anyway.
Well, that's
I've been a neighbor to them since 1981.
That's a little bit different, because that's a property on Eckford Street, correct? Not a property within the rezoning?
People that are concerned with other houses on it.
Yes.
Not part of the zone.
Karen?
What will happen to those commercial businesses that are existing?
They will, after their releases are over, they will negotiate. It will offer them a place to come back after the construction.
The ground floor will still be commercial.
Tom?
Just trying to get clarity.
Ah.
So is my car,
Did I,
is my car supply store going on?
Actually, Strauss
It's a-
Strauss went back.
Gone from one to a Pep Boys stuff. We're gonna stay there.
That Boys is moving in, they will, have lease, and they're negotiating the term of the lease.
Okay, so I'm going to quickly go over the project data, because, again, I think that was something a little lacking in your presentation. Okay, this project is it's 8 stories, it's 7 floors of construction, 7 floors of residential over ground floor retail with parking in the cellar, an FAR of 4.6. They are taking advantage of the inclusionary housing provisions. There is 155,000 square feet in total, approximately 141 residential units, with 20% of those being low income. A mix of studios, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom rental units. Low income units are for residents at 80% of AMI. The developer has partnered with the North Brooklyn Development Corporation as a sponsor. There's 23,000 square feet of commercial space, which they predict will yield 5 to 6 units at about 5,000 square feet apiece. There are 68 residential parking spaces and 23 commercial parking spaces. And I think that's the project in a nutshell. Okay, now do I?
Any parking waivers?
They are not asking for a parking waiver. Any other board members? Okay, so now I take them from the public. All right, we're going to move on to questions from the public. Yes?
How deep is this parking going to go underground? Because I'm one of the houses in question that's being blocked in.
How many stories down does your building go?
It's projected to be 1 story down, because there is a water level problem there. You're not able to go so deep.
My house is close to 100 years old. Am I going to be affected? And if it is, who's going to pay the costs?
The excavation won't be up, shouldn't affect your property, and there's laws about shoring up and things like that, so it's only going down 1 level.
If underpinning is required to protect your property under DOB rules, then of course that will be done. If Paul, as I said, has lived here, he is your neighbor, he doesn't want anything to happen to your buildings, but he's going to do everything he can to protect your property.
What does he care about my building? He's putting up a
He'll be
monster.
responsible for any damage that happens to your building.
But it's 1 level down. To answer your question, it's 1 level down. And like I said, the building is not going down. It sets back 30 feet.
Neither the ground floor nor the cellar are going to be built the full depth of the site, or they will?
But even if they will, there's still buildings to the rear are set back from our property lines.
Yeah, well, I know, it's just a question because
The actual
you,
building, I believe, is 30 feet away. The first
The-
floor.
right, the residential portion must be, you must have 30 feet at the back for a rear yard, but the commercial portion and the cellar below that you're allowed to build the entire depth of the
Correct, one
site.
story high.
Right, but those buildings on Exford do not come to our property line. That's what I'm saying, they're
That's it.
set back.
All the buildings are set back except for one. But all the rest of them do not touch the property line in any way.
Okay. Any other questions from the public?
I didn't understand that.
Other than Alice's property, Alice's building is
I'm
the
not
only.
there. I guess the.
You're
Okay, I'd like to close this item,
You see the green, it's fake.
but at this time, I'll,
It's just
on this item, I'll take
There's
two
nothing to be there. So there's nothing touching any of the houses.
members from the public for a public session to respond. We'll start with, it's on this item, and that'll be Christine Holovac, a 2-minute public session presentation on this item. Is that, are you speaking on this item? Okay, please.